Most of the time, when people talk about custom objects in HighLevel, they refer to physical objects like cars and houses and children. And in most use cases, that's how people will, in fact, use those custom objects. But that doesn't mean that custom objects have to be used for physical objects, physical things. And so I'm going to give a couple examples of possible uses of custom objects that wouldn't necessarily be a physical thing. So I have another video where I talked about stories as a custom object. So the point is, your contact, your customer, you'd be coaching or advising or editing a story for a customer, but the customer is a writer, and that writer might have 3 or 4 stories in progress at any given time. Thus, instead of custom fields for that story to describe that story, you would want a custom object with object fields for each of the stories. So here's another example. For most lawyers, their contacts, their clients, are only going to have one case at a time. Maybe even only one case in a course of an entire lifetime. But other lawyers, especially business law, might have 3 or 4 projects ongoing with that client at any given time. And so having a custom object of case for that contact, for that client, allows you to manage multiple different cases at a time, and have records associated with that case associated with the contact, but independent of the contact. Similarly, you might have a insurance agency or some kind of agency that has policies or products or files for a client, and the client doesn't have a fixed number of files. There's not a 5 limit, and so you can only have 5 cases open or 5 policies open. You would have unlimited or a variable amount of cases, and therefore having a custom object of type case or type policy allows you to associate multiple cases with that particular contact. Here's an example that I think is a current limitation of the system as it's implemented. I don't think we have the ability to associate a company with a contact with an object. But if we did, if your business was mobile detail, auto detailing, you could have a fleet contract with a company. So each of the vehicles is associated with the company, and then simultaneously the company is associated with the contacts, and so you contact the person, the contact, at the company to schedule the vehicle for its auto detailing, or its regular scheduled fleet maintenance service, whatever that product, that service of that vehicle is. So the vehicle is an object. And this goes back to the original. This is typically people are going to use these objects as a physical object. But here's a case where there's a multiple way association. The vehicle is actually not owned by a person. The vehicle is owned by the company, and therefore having the association between the custom object vehicle and the company, but then having the company have particular contacts that you actually reach out to. And then if you're a commercial real estate agent, you might actually have multiple people who are contacts at a business who are doing multiple commercial deals. And so maybe rather than a house being the deal, if you're a residential realtor, you might only need the house fields as custom fields, not a custom object. But in a commercial real estate, you might actually have deals as a separate custom object, which the object then connects a property with a person, a contact, who is doing a deal on behalf of a company. So again, the limitation of having the company be an intermediary association, I think that limitation exists at this time. There's not an ability to actually do that. So in a way, this video is an appeal back to HighLevel, saying, hey, we need this association to be fleshed out. So there are 3 examples of non-physical custom objects: a story, a policy, and a case. In each of these situations, the trick is to have the custom object have a unique identifying characteristic. So in the case of vehicles, it's easy. It's the VIN. So that each of the custom object, the particular instance of the custom object, can be clearly identified, and then that particular instance of the custom object can be associated with a particular contact. And when the capability is eventually fleshed out, that custom object and contact can also be associated with a company. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. I'm Keith Bashirs. I'm the bald guy. I help small businesses with marketing, theory, tactics, techniques, training, and technology. Have a great day.